Hello everyone. So today I wanted to talk to you about another book that was longlisted for the International Booker Prize, and that is The Perfect Nine by Ngugi Thiongo. And this was translated by the author himself. So what this book is mainly about is about the origin story of the Gikuyu people in Kenya. And the story says that there was this couple, Gikuyu and Mumbi, that had 9 perfect daughters, which are actually 10. So they are like the 9 daughters and then the 10th one, which makes them the perfect 9, according to the story. And these are the daughters that start the different clans within the Gikuyu people. Normally, in several tribes in Kenya, they have clans within the tribes, let's say. And this is the origin story of how those started. And this book is not very plot or character driven. There is a plot and there are characters. Obviously, this family is the main characters, and there's a plot of them going to the base of Mount Kenya, which is a very holy place for the Gikuyu people, and them basically settling there and finding husbands to form these different clans. That's the main premise of the book. That's the main plot, and we see the different characteristics of each of these daughters becoming the main characteristic of the different clans, which are not necessarily good or bad things. They are just characteristics. Like someone is described as a leopard, someone is described as homemaker, whatever it is, like it's a very neutral way to describe things. But for me, I think the main point that this book was about the folklore and the culture of the Gikuyu people and reclaiming that culture and their place in the world. As far as I know, the Gikuyu people, so they live in the base of, they're from the base of Mount Kenya, around there, most of them. I was lucky enough that December 2019, so before the pandemic, I was able to visit Mount Kenya, and I was told that Kenya actually means ostrich in Kikuyu, and the mount was called like that because of the snow. Despite being in the equator, there is snow on top, and the way it shines, it reminded them of ostriches, and we see that in the book as well, this relation between ostriches and gods, and that's why they call the Mount Kenya, and eventually the country. And these people, because they were in such a central place and such a rich place, they were really affected by colonialism, more so than other tribes there, and their culture was lost in a lot of ways. And I think this is a way to reclaim that from that colonial past. And that also ties together with the fact that the author wrote the book in Gikuyu, despite him speaking perfect English, obviously, because he translated himself. And he, in another of his books that is called The Colonizing the Mind, actually, he writes about this, about the fact that African authors are often writing in their European languages, so in Spanish, in French, in English, in whichever language it is that the colonizers brought, because it can reach a wider audience. But actually there is something lost in that not translation, but that writing process, because the way that you express yourself in your native language is different than the way you express yourself in other languages. And as a multilingual person myself, I can say that is really true. You kind of have slightly different personalities depending on the language you're speaking. So that is something that this book really hungers on, the fact that the author wanted to give that power to the Gikuyu people and give them back their cultural place, I would say, and by doing that by giving them the story in a very poetic, beautiful way, but also to explain that story to people outside Kenya. And so that is a bit of the historical context of the story of the Gikuyu people. The Gikuyu people, as many other tribes in Kenya, come from the Bantu, I think from Egypt, and they settle in different parts of Kenya and form different tribes and different clans. So they were one of them, and this is the story of the Gikuyu people in particular arriving to the Mount Kenya. And another thing that this book does is the different women have different characteristics, and they are the ones that found the tribes, the ones that found the clans. So in that sense, it's not a matriarchal society per se, but it also has that traditional feminist undertone that these women are the ones that start the stuff. And I mean, it is not modern feminism in the sense of inclusion of trans women and non-binary folk and all of that stuff, but it's more of a women are valuable too, and it's something that I have also seen in Kenyan society, that women, even though there is a certain place that they put women in, women are valuable and are powerful, and that is completely recognized. And I wanted to read you a quote of the book that I think shows that. So this is talking about when one of the daughters gives birth to a child, and it says, "A new joy will burst into the homestead. 5 ululations for a boy, 5 ululations for a girl. Boy and girl make our tomorrow." Like, there's no difference for them in that sense. I think that in that sense it's also touching on the feminist side of things. And I have read other works from this author that also show how powerful women are, and they don't make them frivolous. They are just powerful women, and I love that as well. And then the last aspect I wanted to talk about is the way it's written, because it's not exactly poetry, but it's also not exactly prose. It's divided like in verse, but there is no rhyme to it necessarily. And I think that is reminiscent of the oral tradition of traditional African literature, a lot of traditional African literature. And that's also that he also talks about in Decolonizing the Mind, the fact that when we talk about high literature, it's often about the big written works of the Russians or of the Japanese or whoever, right? Or the European authors. And often African literature, traditional literature, is overlooked because most of it is oral. And I think by writing this way, it goes back to that concept that this has a certain rhythm that you only see when you read it aloud, when it is an oral exercise more than a written exercise. And so it is, I think, fitting that this is written in this way, because it's the origin story of the Gikuyu people, and that has traditionally been told from generation to generation orally. So it just makes sense that when you write it down, you try to reflect that fact that it was written in a way that it's reminiscence of that oral tradition. Those are all of the elements I picked up on. There were some little details that reminded me of small things that I have seen or heard when I was there, part of the folklore, things like yeah, they call the Mount Kenya the owner of the ostrich whiteness, and that goes back to what I was saying about this association between ostriches and godly things, and because of the way that the Mount Kenya is white because of the snow, which is something that is probably not something that they saw very often, right? There is normally not that much snow in the equator, I think. um, there is also the story of a lion that kills several humans, and this is like also a thing of human killing lions. Um, that is something that was actually quite important when the colonizers arrived as well. There were these chases for lions because they said that they became like hungry ghosts that kill people, and that also affected the conservation of lions in the area. So yeah, those are little things that I got up on my read. But overall, as you can probably tell, I really enjoyed this book. I think it was really interesting, and it was a very quick read as well. It's like 150 pages, and because it's this kind of verse thing, it goes quite fast. And it was just very heartwarming in a way. It's a simple story, but the way it's written, it's beautiful, I think. And I don't know if this will have the same effect if you know not so much about the Kenyan culture and the Kikuyu people, but I hope this video helps you understand a little bit more of that culture. And yeah, I think it was brilliant. There are so many little things in there that I think are valuable, and the the idea itself of reclaiming the African tradition of storytelling, I think it's brilliant in itself, and I hope it makes it further in the International Book Fair. But yeah, that's all I had for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have read the book and what you thought about it. And until next video, bye!